Hello, Legacy enjoyers. We are covering the Legacy 1K hosted by Face to Face Games Toronto that was held on July 7th. So apologies for the delay in getting this coverage out to you guys. But before we get into the games, just a quick announcement for the upcoming Legacy of the North Summer Invitational. So we will be streaming the event with live commentary, player interviews, and deck text this time around, and you'll be able to tune in and watch the event on Saturday, August 10th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can find that at twitch.tv/ETB Canada. And I'll also be restreaming the event here at youtube.com/@LazyMTG. So we hope to see you in the comment and chat sections on August 10th. So with that out of the way, let's watch some Legacy. On player one side, we have Daniel piloting 5-color beans. I've cutely named it Rainbow Beans. And his opponent on player two side is Vlas playing Esper Control. So we saw a very similar matchup last round. It was kind of reversed where Esper Control was player one side and Sultai Beans was the other side. I really don't like calling it like 5cc beans, which stands for 5-color control. It doesn't roll off the tongue. I was gonna a lot of you know that I'm a big fan of calling the 5-color beans versions miracle beans, but looking at Daniel's deck lists, which you can find in the description below, there's not a lot of miracle cards. So doesn't make really a lot of sense to call it miracle beans. We're going to see him go mulligan a couple times. He is on the play. Looks like, sorry, it was only a single mulligan. But it looks like he is starting off with a Hedge Maze, going to Surveil, and going to dump a Lorien Revealed into the graveyard. Vlas going to just start his turn off with Wasteland, getting rid of that Hedge Maze. There's a Flooded Strand from Daniel, gonna crack it immediately. Finds Basic Island. So this is something that we didn't see in the earlier round, right? Is Vlas has immediately shown that he's willing to wasteland his opponent's lands. Without any other information, Daniel still makes the choice of fetching for a basic island rather than risking, you know, getting wastelanded again. It could also, like, we have to take into account that he might not have any other lands in the hand. We see that he does have a Savannah, so still playing on, still playing on the safe side and just and fetching for a basic. He's going to resolve this Ponder, doesn't like any of the cards that he sees, going to shuffle the deck and draw a card. Vlas is just going to skip to his turn because Daniel has nothing else to do after playing that Flooded Strand. Vlas going to play a Flooded Strand of his own. Gonna fetch for a Tundra. This draw that Daniel has just done is from the Ponder. So looks like whatever Vlas said he is going to do, Daniel is okay with it. He gave that thumbs up. Looks like it might just be a Ponder. It is. These guys are almost reflecting each other. All right. Do we get to see what Vlas draws? We do not. Daniel going to draw for his turn. Going to play that Savannah that we saw earlier. And just going to pass back. Looks like he picked up a Murktide off of that. Vlas finds an Underground Sea as his draw for the turn. He does have a Dress Down in hand. Unloads the second Wasteland in response. Daniel going to Island Cycle Lorien Revealed. Man, there are a lot of Wastelands being played in this event. So Daniel Island cycles for a Tundra. Looks like Vlas is looking to cast a Brainstorm during the main phase. That is going to resolve. After the Brainstorm, Vlas just going to pass a turn. Daniel draws a Swords to Plowshares for his. And plays a Tundra as his land for the turn. Just going to pass. Looks like he's saying doesn't have much to do. There's a Murktide Regent. Gonna come in as a 5/5. Looks like maybe he's going for a 6/6. There's not much difference between a 5/5 and a 6/6. Alrighty. Just gonna pass the turn. Vlas lets the Murktide resolve. Does he have a way of dealing with it? Gonna play that Underground Sea that we saw. There is Swords to Plowshares. Gonna put Daniel back up to 25. And down comes a Ponder. Alright, Vlas just gonna pass a turn, draw off the Ponder. Daniel gonna draw for his turn. There's a Wasteland for Daniel. Since when did these non-green Beans decks start playing Wastelands? Sorry, non-black decks. Non-black bean decks. This is kind of greedy. Alright, Vlas going to tap the Underground Sea, Island Cycle, Lorien Revealed, finds a Meticulous Archive. It is actually like crazy to me that Daniel's playing 5 colors and still playing Wasteland. Although the 5 colors is really only there to enable prismatic endings, I guess. Vlas gonna Meticulous Archive, pass the turn. Daniel gonna draw, doesn't play a land, passes it back to Vlas. Vlas going to play an Undercity Sewers, Surveil, keep it on top, pass the turn back to Daniel. Daniel gonna draw, still doesn't find a land. At the beginning of, I guess this is after the draw step, but before the main phase, Vlas puts down an Orcish Bowmaster. Daniel going to cast his Swords to Plowshare, getting rid of the Orcish Bowmasters, put Vlas back up to 20. Pass the turn. Vlas gonna draw. I guess Daniel just drew and passed. But Vlas gonna draw Wasteland. Wasteland away Daniel's Tundra. Swing in for 1 with that Orc Army token. And put him down to 24. Daniel is going to draw for his turn. Vlas going to cast Sauron's Ransom. Okay, so Daniel's going to respond with a Force of Will, exiling Force of Negation, puts himself down to 22. So this Sauron's Ransom not going to resolve, but Daniel's just going to pass the turn anyway, not finding any lands. There is a Miracle Triumph of St. Catherine coming from Vlas. Here's an attack from the Orc Army, puts Daniel down to 21. Daniel going to draw a Force of Will for the turn, not finding any lands here after Vlas has fired off 3 Wastelands. You're going to swing in with the Triumph and the Orc Army, brings Daniel down to 15, Vlas up to 25. Here is an Island Cycle from Lorien Revealed. Probably going to find like another Tundra or something. Oh, Mystic Sanctuary. I guess Mystic Sanctuary put Brainstorm, like Brainstorm Ponder or Sauron's. I think Sauron's Ransom is not a bad choice here. I think it's the best source. It's not like a cantrip, so it's actually card advantage like most of the time. Daniel draws for his turn. There's a Brainstorm. Vlas just gonna daze it. Returns a Mystic Sanctuary to the hand. This is kind of a mini synergy. But in response to the daze, Daniel going to fire off Force of Will, exiling Force of Will. Really wants this Brainstorm to resolve just to find an answer to this Triumph. Finds Uro up the Beanstalk and a Plains. None of those really going to help. Daniel just going to pick up his cards. That is going to be Vlas with Esper Control taking game number 1. Okie dokie, here we are starting game number 2. Daniel versus Vlas. Rainbow Beans versus Esper Control. So it is a classic, like, draw, go, bloom, mirror match, if that's what you want to call it. Daniel did lose game number 1, so he is going to be on the play for this one. Vlas already checking on his 7. But it is up to Daniel to announce whether or not he wants to keep his hand first. Looks like he's drawing double Surgical Extractions right off the bat. I don't think this hand is a keep. Unless I'm wrong. I'm not sure what the first card he drew was. Wow. And he draws a Triumph of St. Catherine. Not as terrible as it is in other formats, but because like you can't brainstorm it. Actually, it's not really much. It's not really legal in other formats other than Commander or Vintage, I guess. But Daniel says it's good enough. Going to immediately play Flitrand and find that island. We did see Vlas fire off 3 Wastelands last game. I would expect him to have, you know, a reasonable amount of likeliness to fire off some number of Wastelands this game as well. Alright, Daniel going to resolve a ponder here, looking at the top three. Looks like they are good enough for him to keep. He is rearranging them into a different order. Going to draw off of the ponder, pass to Vlas. Vlas going to draw his card for turn. Finds a Sauron's Ransom, going to play a Fled Strand, and pass the turn. Daniel going to draw for his. Finds a Brainstorm. Looking at Tropical Island, and I think that is a... I think it's a Savannah in his hand as well. Gonna tap 2. There's a Up the Beanstalk. Vlas going to crack the Flooded Strand in response. Wonder if he has a Daze. Looks for Undercity Sewer. That's going to trigger Surveil. If he does have a Daze, this is going to be nice. He can bounce it back to his hand and get a Surveil trigger again. The big problem with this is it is a tapped land. He is going to be very behind in terms of like mana resources. Because if he goes Surveil and then Daze returning it, then he has to play it again. That's another turn he goes without mana. He does have the Daze, so after the Surveil, he is going to keep it on top. Daniel not going to pay for that Daze, and Daniel just going to pass the turn. Vlas going to draw the card that he Surveil and kept on top. Going to play that Undercity Sewer again. I think that was a land that he revealed off the top of their Surveil. But this is what I was saying. I don't... Like, he's only 2 mana behind. I don't know how far this puts him behind in a control mirror match. I'm not a very good blue player, so it's really hard for me to kind of gauge if Vlas is in like a terrible position. Like if I was a Lance player and I saw my opponent only playing on 1 or 2 mana and I'm at 3, I'm pretty happy. There's a Surgical Extraction. Gonna pay 2 life, go down to 17. Vlas just played a Tundra for his turn and then passed. Now we're at his end step with the Surgical Extraction. Gonna target the Daze. Vlas reveals his hand. There is Jace the Mind Sculptor, a classic, Sauron's Ransom, Kaya's Guile, Orcish Bowmaster, Flooded Strand, Tundra, Orcish Bowmaster. Daniel just saying Vlas can find all the cards, or all the Dazes in his deck. This is pretty interesting. I'd never really thought like an Esper control deck would need to play Dazes. It looks like he's only playing 2 anyway. He could have boarded some out, especially because if he's on the draw. But yeah, we haven't seen Jace the Mind Sculptor in a very long time. He's kind of been a little power crept out of the format, but he does do very, very well in these long drawn out Drago mirrors. The Fate Seal is quite effective. But now we go to Daniel's turn. He's going to draw. I'm not sure exactly where we are in the turn now. Is this before his draw step? So this Orcish Bowmaster is... So Orcish Bowmaster was cast before Daniel drew for the turn. And then in response to the Orcish Bowmaster, Daniel casting a Brainstorm. Alright. Settles on it. Gonna draw for his turn. Well, we have to resolve the Bowmaster. So Daniel needs to go down to 16, and then an Orc army needs to be put onto the battlefield. Thank you, Vlas. There's a Swords to Plowshares targeting the Orcish Bowmaster, exiling it, puts him back up to 20. So Daniel not playing a land? I don't think he really needs to. There is a Solitude in his hand. Vlas gonna play a Tundra for his turn. Swing in with the Orc army, puts Daniel down to 15 to his 20. Now Daniel going to, or sorry, Vlas going to pass a turn. Daniel going to draw, Miracle in, Triumph of St. Catherine. Very nice. Looks like it resolves. Still does not play a land. Here is a Kaya's Guile. Not sure about the modes that he's picking, but... So, Kaya's Guile, choose 2. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. Exile cards from each opponent's graveyard. Create a 1/1 white box bearer creature token, and then gain 4 life. So, it looks like he did sacks a creature and exile all cards from each opponent's graveyard. So, Vlas going to play a Flooded Strand, crack the Flooded Strand, find Mystic Sanctuary. Is he putting Kaya's Guile back on top? I think that how the interaction works... Ooh. There's a surgical extraction again, targeting the Kaya's Guile. So I assume that's what Vlas targeted with the Mystic Sanctuary. But now Daniel gets to have another look. There's now Brazen Borrower and Ponder in Vlas's hand, but we knew about the Jace the Mind Sculptor, Sauron's Ransom, and the Orcish Bowmaster from earlier. So I think how the interaction works is Kaya's Guile needs to resolve fully before anything else is put on the stack. So even though Kaya's Guile makes the Triumph of St. Catherine, I assume it would make it trigger. I can't remember exactly how Triumph works, but I think it's when it dies, it shuffles into the top 6. But it needs to be in the graveyard for it to do that. So because it's no longer there and it was exiled through Kaya's Guile, then it just fizzles out. But here's Jace the Mind Sculptor, gonna Fate Seal Daniel, puts a Misty Rainforest to the bottom of the deck. This was played nicely by Daniel because he had the third or the fourth land, and he's just been like, oh, did he brainstorm it away? Am I blind? Maybe it was the Tropical Island. I think I might be blind. Anyway, there's a Island Cycle DeLorean Reveal, finds a Xander's Lounge. This is what happens when I don't take hand cam footage. Alright, Daniel going to play the Xander's Lounge for the land for the turn. Gonna pass it back to Vlas. Vlas gonna draw. And I think this, wow, he's gonna brainstorm and not Fate Seal. Alright, so Vlas looking at Meticulous Archive, Brazen Borrower, Ponder. Pretty sure the Orcish Bowmaster is still there. I think the Sauron's Ransom is still there. Looks like he's putting a Nile Spellbomb on the top. Okay, plays a plane for the turn. Swings with the Orc Army, and Prismatic Ending on the Up the Beanstalk. Daniel does have Leyline Binding, Source of Plowshare, Solitude in hand. It's gonna pass. Daniel gonna draw for his turn. He does have Domain. Wow, draws a 4th Aerlingus. It's not going to do anything here. He can only put 4 power onto the board. Can't really take out that Jace the Mind Sculptor. Too risky to play 4th. Maybe you play 4th Aerlingus and swing for 4 points of damage, but other than the 4th, is there any way that the 5-color Beans deck wins? Because I don't think they play Murktides of their... Oh, he does have Urrows. Okay, so he might just be passing, and Vlas is casting a Sauron's Ransom at the end of this turn. So in response to Vlas topping out for the Sauron's Ransom, there's a Leyline Binding targeting the Jace the Mind Sculptor. It is going to resolve. He eats the Jace. Vlas going to resolve this Sauron's Ransom. He's going to look at the top 4. Sorry, he doesn't look at the top 4. Daniel looks at the top 4. Sees Meticulous Archive, Nile Spellbomb, Brainstorm. And I don't know what that other card is. But Vlas knows 2 of them. He does know about the Meticulous Archive and the Nile Spellbomb. So he has to know that the Meticulous Archive is in the other one because he put it there. Yeah, he's going to take the 2 face downs. Wow, 2 lands. Puts up Brainstorm and a Nile Spellbomb into the graveyard. I still think this is worth it. Like, the Nile Spellbomb, you don't really care about Daniel's graveyard at the moment. He's done so well to do it anyway. So I think that's the tempting of the ring token. It's that Orc Army is now legendary. Vlas gonna draw Brainstorm for his turn, so that was a great Sauron's Ransom. Going to cast the Brainstorm. Draws 3 cards. Puts a Meticulous Archive on top. And I don't know what that was, but I'm pretty sure it was a Lorien's revealed. Looks like it's going to get shuffled away, so it doesn't really matter. Orc Army is going to swing, deals 1 point of damage. Daniel should be down to 10. Here's an Orcish Bowmaster, going to probably ping Daniel down to 9. Oh, maybe this is before damage. Yeah, so this grows the Orc Army, so it puts him down to 8. Okay, not bad. Alright, just going to pass the turn after dealing 3 damage to Daniel. Daniel going to draw, finds a Solitude. Here is 4th Aerlingus for X equals 2. Guy's going to get Flusterstormed. Wow, okay. And Daniel's just going to pick it up. So that's going to be Esper Control taking it in 2. I hope you guys enjoyed that one, even though it was a control versus control. But I kind of like watching these, but I do wish that we did have hand cams. It would have been a little bit easier. But nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. And I will see you guys for round number 4. Take it easy.